Hey, and good afternoon. It's Mike from Flex Radio. I'm laughing because Rod VA3ON is supposed to join us, and he will eventually, but he is having an issue with his cameras and items and stuff. So I'm sure he'll get it sorted out. And by the way, you can take comments. I think I can see you in the comments. So in the beginning, I always ask and make sure my audio is working. Anyway, Rod's rapidly rebooting, but let's talk about the WPX contest this weekend. One of my favorite contests. What a great contest to work. A lot of new countries. The scoring's a little different, so the pile ups are a little strange, but it's all about unique prefixes. And thanks, Len. And look at the DX. There's a ZL already on 10 meters, probably later this afternoon. So band conditions look good. And so let's quickly talk about the WPX contest. And heck, I was so busy helping Rod by text message that I didn't get my screen shared correctly. So let's get this uh, shared and bear with me. There we go. So here we go. So first place we always start is the rules. WPX contest starts tonight at 000 Zulu, which is in 7 o'clock early for me, I think. And you want to go through the rules. The idea of this contest is for amateurs to make contact with as many other amateurs worldwide, and it's sorted by country and prefix. But there's some important things you need to be aware of. First off, everybody's assisted. Uh, there are a couple of exceptions, so read the rules, which means everybody's on the packet cluster. There is band plans you need to look at, the period of operation, and you can operate as a single operator for 36 hours. So, yes, you have to take a break. And that's to prevent some of the machine guys from getting involved and sitting down for 48 hours. And a couple of them are friends of mine, and I give them full credit for that. The exchange is 59. Okay, that's an art. That's the number never changes, so we won't go there. But it is a moving serial number. So 59. Well, I'll start at one and just keep going, regardless of it. Just my contacts in an order. And if you're part of a multi-station, then the numbers get accumulated by your logging program. The cool thing is here is you want to read under section 5 in scoring. It says contacts between stations on different continents are worth 3 points on 10, 15, and 20, and 6 points on 7, on 40, 80, and 160. But between stations on different countries, they're 1 points. Now, the North America one, assuming a bunch of you guys are in North America, you want to be aware of this one. For North America only, contacts between stations within the North American boundaries, both stations located in North America, that could be Canada and the US as an example, or Mexico, type of thing, uh, are worth 2 points on 10 meters, 15, and 20 meters. However, they're worth 4 points on 160, 80, and 40, which is good for me because I have a killer 80-meter station. I have great runs. And so that's good to know. And my friend Peter West, who's a neighbor of mine, that'll work really well for him on his low band work from here in Toronto as well. So you want to leverage the area that works for you. That's sort of the key things. Uh, you again review scoring section 5 area 2, and this is definition of prefix. Most of you will probably be a single operator. You can be high power, which is not exceeding 1500 watts. So that's worldwide, 1500 watts. Low powers must not exceed 100 watts. So that's a flex radio running barefoot, or most HF radios running barefoot. And then QRP, that's 5 watts. And there's Rod. So you ready, Rod? We'll bring Rod right in and we'll pause for a minute. Rod, how was your afternoon rebooting computers? Oh, can you hear me? He's now looking. We'll come back to Rod, so speak up, Rod, when you hear me. And this is the type of afternoon my fellow
Right?
podcaster is having. There you are. I heard a word. Anyway, so, and there's some overlay categories. I guess he's trying to get his headphones going. we'll go through there. When he first joined us here on StreamYard, he was here, but he wasn't really here. So I'll drop him into the blue room. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm back. Thank
Headphones
you.
not playing.
Well, one of the wondrous things of the Mac and Chrome is that you have to enable the microphone and the camera.
Oh, I've been through that.
So it's good fun. But
Yes.
we but I feel better now. How's that?
Well, just like getting ready for a contest, Rod waited till the last minute to use, bit him in the
Exactly.
butt. Anyway, I asked Rod to join mostly because you're not a big contester, right? You're involved a little bit, and
Just a little bit.
he
Sometimes
keeps me
things
honest.
come by, like this particular contest, that get interesting. Of course, I do the pedestrian stuff, the field days and winter field days, that kind of thing, and the occasional contest.
Alrighty.
So,
Well,
it's one of those things where you try to get more active over time.
I'm just walking through the rules, so we'll catch you up later if you want to play. This, by the way, is a great contest if you just want to add to your DX count or whatever, and you're going to make your own goals for a contest. That might be I'm going to operate for a couple hours. I might go at it hard. I know for me, I've got nothing planned all weekend, and if the conditions are good and I can run, then I will sit down, or I actually go to a stand-up desk. I mentioned that in some notes in a minute. And if I standing up, is added hours to my contesting time if I've got nothing else on. Get really good at standing on one foot with a foot switch, or one foot and a heel, and then keying the foot switch with my toe. So, Rod, we were just going through some of the rules. I think we're pretty much done. The other thing that really needs to be aware of, and you can ask a question here, clubs, your logbook has to be submitted within 5 days. So that's Friday by 7, at least for us in Eastern.
Yeah, one of the nice things about this contest is what they call classic mode, right? Where you're limited to 24 hours of the 48. Because for me, I look at this with 48 hours and thinking, that's a pretty darn big commitment. Now, I think of the 48, you're supposed to run, I forget how many hours. There's some breaks built in there. But when I look at a classic mode and I say, oh, it's 24 of the 48, I'm much more likely to do that. And it's going to put me into a category where there's going to be other people like me. Mere mortals.
Here's the other one. Here's the other one, too, that I think's great. It's a tri-bander and wires. It's a classic urban lot.
Exactly. So. Yeah. So you can, most modest setups, people trying to get into contesting, that's pretty reasonable. That's definitely not, a farm in the Midwest or something along that line.
Yeah, and I have to decide if I'm going to operate here where I sit or over there where I stand. But in the flex world, that makes it easy to move because I can actually set both up because the radios aren't here. And we actually had one of our contesters ask in our contest group today, has anybody used a stand-up desk? And I'm going to pull that. I'm just going to move that out for a minute. And I said, yeah, I've used it. I think I used it for CQ Worldwide. And I added hours to my operating time easily because I was standing up. And as I've gotten older, and because I have a sit-down job, it's hard to sit 40 hours a week and then sit in a contest for the whole weekend. Hey, Dave. And so that's the thing. So here's my checklist of high-level things to think of. And first off, as we said, set your goal. Rod, what do you think your goal might be? And you're probably going to poke around as time permits.
Between my daughter's hockey and everything else, if I can get 6 hours in, I'll be really happy. Now that means, hey, that means scores are not going to be what other scores would be. But like many things in cost testing, you're playing against yourself as much as you are anybody else.
Yep. I think your daughter should operate. Her voice, that's good for, a female. That's good for another 4 or 5 dB.
That would be my older daughter, and who is very competitive. So we'll have to see if we can get her away from the horses this weekend.
It's cheaper. if you have a logging program, most people use M1MM. If you don't, you're well past this group. But you want to make sure you get it up and running and connected to the radios. Get your country file updated because that'll be really critical to your points. And learn about a feature called Super Check Partial. And you can be logged into a cluster. So everybody's assisted, meaning you can use additional packet spotting tools. They've gotten rid of the assisted and unassisted categories.
So I'll play the role I normally do. Super check partial. What's that get me?
Super check partial. If you're starting that, you guys faint or he's a pile up, and you hear, let's use Kevin Mitchell. Okay, I hear a ZL1 kilo, and he gets clobbered, and I'm typing it in, and then it'll just populate with ZL1 kilo. If he contests before, you'll see a couple of other call signs, and you can go, hey, is that ZL1 kilo Fox Mike? Maybe that was the only one that popped up, and because that's what popped up in Super Check Partial on your screen, and then you're gonna hear Roger, you're 5942, and great, he's in the log. We're on to the next one. So that's what Assist is about, and that's what Super Check Partial is about. Very valuable tool.
And is that something you install into N1MM, or is it built into some logging programs? Or
it's built into N1MM, and it's a special screen that pops up. It's nothing to do except find it. It's so that's a really good one. I'm just reading any notes here. We've talked about reading the rules. I've done videos in the past on mic audio, and I love doing this. You do not see, Rod, I don't know how this sounds because I'm not listening to my link, but I have a feeling you don't want to sound like this weekend.
Not right? Quite.
And you might want to sound a bit more like this. Okay, so you notice I've taken the highs out. Maybe not quite that bad, but this is when the QRP guys really shine. And I've had 5-watt guys break pileups because the big loud guy sounded like this, and the QRP guy sounded like this. And yeah, there's a big difference. So we'll put that back into broadcast mode. It's about there. So in using a flex radio, this is where you want to use the full duplex feature to listen to yourself and see how you sound as well. And then also ask your friends. You want to keep your TX bandwidth? No, this is not a contest for you ESSB guys. Please don't do it. It's also harder to copy on the far end. So that makes sense. In the flex radio, you'll find that sitting. High pass filter is the lower number. I know it sounds backwards, right? The high pass filter, we want to pass the high frequencies above about 250. And that's just a good starting point. Everybody's a little different. And the low pass filter, we're going to pass the autos below that, about 2800. Okie doke. And same thing for RX bandwidth. And Rod, have you played with the 6700? You have a bit more? Have you gotten used to those filters?
I did. And I also plugged in the balanced mic into that, which is a really cool little feature. I've got it unplugged right now because of this microphone I'm on. But this weekend I'm going to try that again. And so have been playing around with that a bit. I am pondering, I think I initially thought I was going to wear Bluetooth headphones, but I'm now starting to think, no, I'm going to go wired. Because
why is that?
Oh, delay. Even on the better Bluetooth modules, like I've got a little dongle here from our friends at, who makes this thing? Airfly, which allows you to plug physically into, that's not going to pick up.
I get it. That's okay.
But allows you to physically plug in and then Bluetooth out. Great idea, but you do get just a little bit of latency, and it does make you a little crazy.
Are those the ones that, in case you don't know, Rod and I do with George on Ham Radio Workbench. Was that the one he was mentioning? And he thought they were pretty quick. He liked them on his what radio?
They are pretty nice. In fact, I may actually mix it up. So I'll do some hardwired headphones, and then a little bit with the AirFly and the Bluetooth, just to see, because, like I said, I'm not in it to win it. I'm in it to grow, and so part of the game is going to be just figuring out what works well, what doesn't work well.
Excellent. It's also a good time to, as you said, grow, to play things, to try things. I've always loved contesting because, I'm a, where did I write that? It's somewhere. Oh, I wrote it on the Ontario group here, but I'm usually about 10 years ahead of everybody else. I don't know if you, so.
Well, it's a big controlled experiment, right? If you think about it, if you were just tuning around on a Wednesday night, what are your chances of repeating the experiment 40, 50, 70 times? Whereas on a big contest weekend, it's like fish in a barrel, right? Like there's all sorts of people that are on, which means if I tweak settings here, I tweak settings there, as long as I don't do something cosmically stupid, like prevented me from getting onto this particular session today, then, I've got, you can set your audio tone up a little bit, set it down, see how that works for you, whether you're getting good responses, people are complaining, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part is, I know you're talking about PTT over Vox. Yeah. I have tried Vox settings a few times. I don't have a lot of success with it. I don't know what it is. It just makes me crazy because it doesn't work half the time. And I'm sure there's going to be lots of people out there, send mail to Mike, that get it working all the time. But in my particular case, it's just one more thing to fiddle with. And I find if I've got a foot switch or I've just got even a hand switch on there, it's so much easier.
My friend Rudy, who's an American, but he also contests up here because he has a remote up here, does this great talk on, during a contest, get rid of the mouse. And you can do that in N1MM where hands never leave the keyboard. And that's what took me down Node Red and the path of a tablet for all my controls. So in actual contest, I bring up the web page for all my Node Red stuff so I can reach up and do whatever I have to just by tapping my iPad, which I put in a stand right beside me. And so.
Hey, speaking about last minute changes, looks like a Stream Deck update came out. So watch out. it's probably all goodness. They tend to be really stable.
Murphy's Law. I had an old ham from one of my Elmers a long time ago, and he actually ended up, I had known him before I went into college, but he ended up being one of my college professors as well, an Arnold V3 DPI. And this is back, when was this? Late 70s, said, the brain is one of the most powerful, DSP, digital signal processors. And it's like, I guess if you're a parent, you can hear your kid yell in a crowd and hear it first time. And and I'm not a parent, but I've heard this before, right? Or a mom will hear their kid cry 4 syllables long, and that's my kid. And the same is true, even having a QSO with somebody. I have copied my friends on 80 meters when the band wasn't up and had a QSO. My wife will walk in the room, and I went, "Who are you talking to?" "Oh, it's Ken." I can't even hear him. "Oh, yeah, it's plain as day." But the point is, if you think about it and put your head in that space, you can really pull stuff out of the noise.
I can hear my kid in a crowded auditorium with hundreds of kids.
Yeah, probably the Skydome.
I can pick them out. Skydome, I don't know about that. The corollary to that, by the way, is once you've had very small children, babies, airplanes used to make me nuts with kids screaming on them because it's an unpleasant environment for a kid, right? Mm-hmm. Changing pressure and that kind of thing. Once I had a kid, that filter kicked in totally. And it doesn't bother me at all. In fact, my empathy meter goes through the roof.
I have noise-canceling headphones.
Yeah, exactly. I never traveled without the noise-canceling headphones for that very reason. And now I'd have them for different reasons, but not for the kids.
I think Peter's going to feed you beer if you come over and set up his Stream Deck.
Very good.
Peter's a neighbor at Rod's. Anyway, we'll carry on because we don't go too long. But on any radio, not only Flex, do not overdrive your radio. do not ever overdrive the radio. And this is the even more critical time. I talked to a guy who was several hands who have been on the other end on the DXpedition side of the DXpedition, and all have said if you have a processor, turn it off. It just muddies your audio. The CESSB processor in the Flex does not distort the audio, so you can leverage it as well. Keep an eye on your mic gain. And this is the throw your watt meter out type of thing. Don't watch the watt meter and try to get it to peak at full power. You want to watch the mic gain, the mic level meter about -5 or so. Don't overdrive it. Beautiful clean audio. And controlled envelope single sideband, which is that proc thing. You have DX and DX plus. You can use them both. That will give you an extra 3+ dB of RF output because it fills in the peak envelope power, the part of the sideband signal. So Peter did have it working. Peter, sorry, Peter, we're just picking on you, but we've, like I said, just old friends.
It's all out of love.
This is my favorite one. And Rod, you've probably done it because you're sort of a search and pounce guy, or you just show up. If the conditions suck, walk away. Don't beat yourself up. Come back in an hour.
Because it will change.
It will change every hour. And if they're good, ride it out. And keep an eye on 10 meters. And, watch the cluster spots for 10 meters. I actually like using the Whisper maps because those are the automated beacons. And when you can see paths starting to complete on the Whisper map, you can just Google Whisper, WSPR, and Whiskey Sierra Papa Radio. I think I talked about my stand-up desk. One of my favorite things is unfavorite things. The guy calls me if I'm running, and then he says, "What's your call sign?"
Where have you been?
And I identify a lot. I mean, I might go 1 or 2 if I'm running, and then I'll identify. But so there's this whole speed thing where guys goes, "Well, I'll identify once a minute." Well, I'm not going to wait that long. If I don't hear
right.
2 or 3, I'm spinning the dial.
I do think there is. I've waited like a couple of minutes to try to pick up a running call sign, and I was like, "How is that? How big could the lineup possibly be for this guy? Where people have been on here for 5 minutes?" Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's I think people just get out of the habit, and if people aren't asking you to change that habit, I don't know. They seem to be very good operators, so I don't know. Maybe people just recognize their voice.
my favorite line is, or the running guy like is, "Your call." Anyway, yeah. And actually, this is one of my best hints to everybody. Big pile up. Don't be the first call if you don't get them the first time. Wait maybe 2 call sign cycles. So, there'll be, the guy will go QRZ and you'll just hear this din of noise. And I've done this so many times. The noise starts to decline. I go, VA3, Mike Whiskey. In normal, clear phonetics. Don't invent a phonetic. Mm-hmm. And then so many times I hear the whiskey. Perfect. Now that's hard because I got to deal with all the W Americans, but I'm sort of assuming it's me, so I'll call again. But at least the crowd's less. And if it's not me, and he goes, "Oh yeah, the W or the 3 whiskey," okay, maybe that's me. But yeah, that's a good point, Jacques. And if you don't like what you hear, spin the dial.
It's not worth the stress.
Correct.
Yeah, just try something new. Go get a coffee.
Go for a walk outside. Clear your head, even if it's raining, which is what it's going to do here all weekend. So that's why I decided I'm probably going to operate. So that's all I got. That's sort of the high points. But what time is it now? It's 16. So in 4 more hours. 16 Zulu.
So what is your strategy for your downtime?
Me?
Yeah, like if you're going to run your maximum time, when do you take your downtime?
I know from my station in North America that I might not even jump on at the beginning of the contest. The first hour is a slugfest. I might poke around if 20 is open or 15 happens to be open, and it might be. Then yeah, I'll go work some guys on 15 and start working my way down the band. 20's been open really late lately, so I'll aim into the Pacific, maybe pick up a call. I'm not going to try to run probably even at all tonight, unless about 10 o'clock. If I can get into 80 meters, find a slot. I'm pretty loud on 80, and those like I don't know if you saw that when we were here. 80-meter North American cross country QSOs are worth. What did I say they are? I'm looking. I still have it here on my screen. It was 4 or 6 points. There's a lot of points, and so that's a really benefit. In fact, if the bands don't open, and they should, being on 80 and 40 is a moneymaker. And I think also, by the way, you only work one guy once. Unlike CQ Worldwide, where you used to work the guy, used to do a band sweep, all bands 160 through 10. If I work Rod on 80, I can never work him in the rest of the contest. I only work him once. Yeah, Kyle's got it right. I'm going to post this one. And he's not wrong. And we can get rid of me here. Kyle, we should have brought you on, and I haven't even had a chance to install Kyle's dashboard because I really wanted to see his Node-RED dashboard. So, but he doesn't sleep. He rewrote most of the dashboard, I think, yesterday.
Yikes.
So that was one we talked about, I guess, middle of last week. So, but yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll go to about 12 or 1. I get some sleep, and I'll just go from there.
What's your food strategy?
Oh, that's a good question. Hydration is the big one. Because I like running, so so many times I've gotten on a good run and I don't want to move, and I'm thirsty and my bladder's full. And that's a tough one. But I have
as long as you're not a Depends guy, I just can't imagine how serious those people would be.
Yeah, I have. I keep a couple of bottles of water handy, and then some lozenges. I do have a voice keyer. I do use at times, but only when it's really slow. If it gets really slow, I'll flip over to SO2R, and I'll hunt and pack on 40, and I'll run on 80. I can't do it on the high bands because I really need a 50. I have a stepper antenna, so that sort of limits me. If I had a 15-meter monobander pointed at Europe, it would allow me to step in between. Usually, because if you're running SO2R, you're usually on adjacent bands, but it's just what you work out. So, but that's my food. Will be protein, more protein than carbs, but that's normally my diet, and get sleep. I don't need to, because if I kill myself doing this, I won't be a crap at work on Monday, and I don't want to be that person either.
Don't want to call in for a contest weekend.
No, I used to take Fridays off. I hadn't really decided if I was going to do this one till later this week because I didn't know what else I was going to do. It's still ski season for me, and I'm still tied up with a bunch of stuff. So, yeah, I like Jacques got the idea. This is truly about sort of having fun. And if you're going to do SO2R, it's a great time to practice, but don't go hammer down until you get it worked out. So, and the best setup, by the way, if you're new to this, the Flex radios from an N1M perspective look like two radios. Any of this, what we call them deep any of the 6000 series. So if you're going to use two VFOs, we do SO2R. We don't do single operator 2 VFO, SO2V, which is something you would do on an ICOM 756 series or an FT1000D or something. Two physical radios. It's set up that way. You can Google Flex Radio, N1MM, SO2R setup, and you'll find the document right away. Follow it. Craig K9CT wrote it. Follow it to the letter. Even though it says 6700, it's all the way through. What am I wrong in that? Oh, Brian, QSO points a station maybe work once on each band for QSO credit, so I was wrong. And is that a change, or maybe it's the prefix of the multiplier I was thinking about? So thanks, Brian. This is so I stand corrected.
There goes the importance of reading the rules again.
What I would have
Maybe
done
even
is
pasting them up on the wall.
yeah, what I would have done is log the guy on 15 and go, if he was gray or whatever, I wouldn't have worked him. And then I went, oh yeah, that's it. M1 will keep you honest. And I know the other thing when we're about done here is dupes. If you're a dupe, if you work a guy and he's a dupe, just work him. It's no problem
It's
to
faster.
log dupes again. It's faster. And if someone gives you a hard time, the same thing again because you may have keyed it in wrong, just ask them to log you as a dupe, and it's just quicker.
Yeah.
So that's all I got. Rod, do we have a show tonight?
That's a good question.
I won't be there. So we do, as I said earlier, Ham Radio Workbench. So we'll have to check the calendar. If the phone rings at 1 minute to 9, I know that I'm.
Hey, where are you?
Just looking for you. Where are you?
Some
Anyway,
of our best shows are that way.
Yeah. Well, we had a great time at QSO Today Expo, and it was great to meet a bunch of people. And Rod, thank you for drawing yourself away from the office for a minute. And getting
That's okay. It's a good distraction.
Your good weekly reboot in place.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll say 73.
Very good. 7-3, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Rod. Take care.